got to fight this guy. Oh, you got injured in camp. You lose to that guy too. Now you're set back when you could have been a champion.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like weirdness going on with possibilities and, you know, just luck, bad luck, and good luck.
Bad luck and good luck. Timing, I think, is a big thing.
How is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
And then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully.
Joe Rogan harshly criticizes Jake Paul for agreeing to fight Gervonta "Tank" Davis despite the massive size difference. He reminds fans that weight classes exist for a reason, to protect fighters and keep the sport fair. Ignoring them, Rogan warns, puts smaller fighters at serious risk. He believes Jake is prioritizing hype and promotion over sportsmanship, turning boxing into a spectacle instead of a competition. With Jake's size, power, and reach advantage, Rogan fears the fight could be genuinely dangerous for Tank, calling the matchup both unsafe and unnecessary.
Sure, but no time limit within the weight class.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be that'd be pretty wild.
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
Because you know, like two guys are facing off each other, like, and they know, like, there's no rescue every 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you go into it knowing you're either getting knocked down or submitted, or you're doing that to the other person.
Bisping voices major concerns over Jake Paul's decision to face Gervonta Davis under such extreme weight conditions. He highlights the absurdity of Jake preparing to fight someone nearly 100 pounds lighter, saying it completely breaks the balance that defines fair boxing. Bisping recalls how the Mike Tyson matchup already felt questionable, given Tyson's age and long retirement, and argues that this new fight pushes the limits even further. In his view, Jake isn't seeking real competition, but rather leveraging his size and fame to gain an unfair advantage. Bisping stresses that boxing thrives on equality, yet this bout looks less like a contest and more like a dangerous cash grab at Tank's expense.
One thing, that's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word: whoa, stop being such a bully, leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta "Tank" Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers, yeah.
Eddie Atlas reacts to the face-off between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis, immediately pointing out the shocking size gap. He jokes that Tank is so much smaller, he'd need a ladder just to reach Jake's chin. While Atlas acknowledges that differences in style and skill are part of boxing's beauty, he insists that this size disparity is simply too extreme. Tank, he says, is physically too undersized to compete effectively, making the fight feel unbalanced and mismatched from the very beginning.
Things, right? They should also have, like, the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract, but I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but a little different. The size difference was, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping. And it made me think, and I'm going to ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm going to ask him, because I know he's an expert in this area, but it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, AKA Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips back there.
Joe Rogan doubles down, explaining that Jake Paul's matchmaking has little to do with fair competition. Instead, it's about marketing, creating bizarre matchups that grab headlines and attract casual fans. Rogan argues that the betting buzz, trash talk, and viral promotion surrounding these fights are driven by publicity, not sporting integrity. He believes Jake is using boxing as a business tool to stay in the spotlight, even if it means bending the sport's principles. To Rogan, that's a serious problem.
That's a problem. That makes it a problem. My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love everybody.
That had nothing to do with them. That was Jake Paul promoting it. It's just doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
if I bet on it, it bothers the fuck out of me.
Watching it with people who are so in on it, and then also the sports betting apps, they introduced chat apps in them in Australia. So it's they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you in. Thing. They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in any way they can.
Hugh Leonard. LRB sheds light on Tank Davis's mental state before his canceled fight with Lamont Roach. He explains that Tank was going through personal challenges and wasn't in the right mindset to take on more pressure. The lack of motivation, Elerbe says, was the main reason the fight didn't happen, not fear or avoidance. Instead, Tank prioritized his mental and emotional well-being, choosing to step back from the ring to focus on his personal life rather than risk burnout or distraction.
Leonard Ellerby
suggests that Gervonta Davis is planning to retire after his upcoming bout with Jake Paul. According to insiders, this move has less to do with chasing legacy or collecting more titles, and more to do with securing long-term financial stability. Many analysts believe Tank's decision is primarily business-driven, motivated by the massive payday rather than the competitive challenge. Facing Jake Paul, despite the mismatch, guarantees him one of the biggest purses of his career. Observers also note that Tank's recent struggles and pressures may have influenced his choice to cash out now. In that sense, this fight appears to be a calculated final move, a way to walk away from boxing with both fame and fortune.
What you make? Let's go band for band on what you make. Again, there's nothing wrong with Tank going to get his money, but let's all be clear that that's all the fight is for Tank. He's telling you without telling you that he's fighting Jake just because he's getting $40 million. So when we talk about boxing being dead, Tank has to line up at the front of the line. I can't blame him, but don't throw around, oh, boxing's dead and people switch sides and all of that. You chose not to be great. That's it. You chose not to be great. Stuff like that, choices like that will kill boxing. For sure. On a competitive level, it won't kill it on a business level. On a business level, until people run out of interest in these kind of matchups, it'll do well. On a competitive level, choosing not to fight the best will kill the sport. So maybe it's better if people like Tank aren't in the sport. And I don't even say that because I want that to be the case. I think Tank is ridiculously talented, but you can't want a fighter to fight more than what they want to. You can't. Tank fans or Tank people that like Tank and think he's one of the best, you can't want it for him. And then Shakur came back with, that's how I know you soft. I can't even go back and forth with you soft ass. You'd rather pop to me on social media than get in that fire and get embarrassed. I get it. Peace and blessings upon you, cuz. He says, the people got your chest out so bad. You talking like you a killer, forgetting that You the one that runs, bitch. I'll be bring the fight to you. This dude, a made-up character. Quote, blessings upon you. Clown-ass dude, wanna be Kevin Gates? Oh my goodness. I mean, here's the thing though. You can't say that stuff about Shakur if you're not willing to fight him. This is the point I think that we're going to come to today, is that Tank can say all this stuff he wants, but if you're not willing to fight Shakur, then none of it means anything anymore. Even if you believe that Tank is going to knock him out, even if you believe that Shakur's a runner, or that he's not in the trenches, or he's not a boxer that's willing to bring the fight or whatever, none of it matters. You're talking from the sideline because you won't fight him.